Yo, dudes, the Empire's pretty chill. Maybe you could, join it or something.
Hey everyone, Lucamus Prime here, so it's time for another movie review today in the Terminator franchise, and guys, I'm going to be ranking what is the fourth installment of the Terminator franchise, and what is intended to be the start of a brand new trilogy, and this movie is for none other than 2009's Terminator Salvation. So yeah, now, this movie, which was directed by Joseph McGinty Nicol, or McG, whatever you want to call him, is a movie which, at first, I was not really, a big fan of this movie. I thought it was a big disappointment compared to the first two movies and the third movie. And, however, guys, I'm going to probably admit that after several rewatches of this movie, in many years, and also from last night in preparation for this review, I think this movie is not as bad as I originally thought it was, just like with Terminator 3. I've grown to, appreciate it a lot more over time, especially compared to two garbage follow-ups released in 2015 and 2019 respectively, and yeah, you know what I'm talking about, so yeah. So here it is, guys. I do own it on DVD, so yeah, this is the theatrical version in a T600 style DVD case, so yeah, and it's got special features as well as the disc for the DVD, so yeah. So in my opinion, guys, if this movie is not a bad movie, definitely not awful or really bad. I mean, sure, it may not have been perfect by any means, guys, because like I said, I think every Terminator movie after Judgment Day was unnecessary, because in my opinion, Judgment Day was the perfect ending, and yeah, this movie, alongside Rise Machines, unfortunately undid the perfect ending, and we'll get to why. But let's talk about the good qualities of this movie first, which is why I think it's an underrated action movie. So, I think many actors in this movie, guys, are very great in their roles. I'm going to give some examples. So first of all, let's talk about Christian Bale as John Connor. I'm going to say that in terms of likeness to the original actor Michael Edwards from Judgment Day, I think Christian Bale is a very good lookalike, in my opinion, guys. And in my opinion, he gave a very good job in the role as John Connor. He was very good in the role. I think he played him really well with, great commitment to the role. And yeah. And yes, guys, I am aware of the incident he had on the set where, he was shouting and cursing a lot. But yeah, I'm not going to acknowledge that in this review because I'm here to talk about the film, not his rant. So yeah, but I think he played John really well, and yeah. And I consider it to be my second favourite role of Christian Bale after Batman from the Dark Knight trilogy by Christopher Nolan, and yeah, I thought he was really good. And speaking of John, guys, I do also like how, in terms of story, this movie finally explained how John got his facial scar, which you can see in the flash forwards in previous movies, where we see him in the future fighting the T-800s and the other machines in the future. I'm glad this movie finally acknowledged how he got his scar, which revealed in the final confrontation of the movie, he gets it from his fight with the T-800. So yeah, so that's why I do like how they portrayed John in this movie. And I also, as well, love the addition of Sam Worthington as Marcus Wright, who is a human Terminator hybrid experiment. And yeah, I'm going to say, guys, this is my favourite live-action role of Sam Worthington. And yes, Avatar fans, I think he's better in this role than as Jake in Avatar. So yeah, I do prefer him in this role a lot, because in my opinion, he played Marcus really well. And Marcus was one of my favourite parts of the movie. I really enjoyed Marcus's scenes, guys. It was very entertaining in the role. And I think his acting was really great, especially at the start of the movie when his body's being signed over for medical research, and when he wakes up in the future as well. And he sees what's happened, Judgment Day, destroyed Los Angeles, and yeah. And I think the scene where he finds out he's a cyborg is definitely a very heartbreaking scene for him. And Sam Worthington acted out that scene really well. And yeah. So I consider it to be his best live-action role, guys. And my favourite role of his of all time will always be Alex Mason in the Call of Duty Black Ops games. But this is my favourite live-action role of his. So yeah. And I also, as well, really loved Anton Yelchin as Kyle Reese. May rest in peace. And yeah. I gotta say that with his performance in this movie, Anton Yelchin is easily my second favourite Kyle Reese of all time after Michael Biehn from the first two movies. And yeah, I gotta say that Anton Yelchin did a really great job copying, the mannerisms and the personality of Michael Biehn as Kyle. I thought he was really great in the role, and I love how he stayed faithful to the franchise by copying how Michael Biehn portrayed Kyle. So yeah, he definitely did the right thing, and he's definitely, in my opinion, a way better Kyle than the abominable version from Terminator Genesis, played by Courtney. And yeah, like, I'd rather have Anton Yelchin return as Kyle at the movie than get recast, to be honest. So yeah, but yeah, Anton Yelchin, in my opinion, did an absolutely amazing job in this movie as Kyle, one of the best parts, in my opinion. Although sadly, he didn't have very much screen time, which I personally did not like, guys, but he was still really great in the role, and I like how it finally showed how he meets John and becomes his friend, and yeah, and how John plans to send him back in time, and yeah. Other cast members I did also like in their roles. I did also like Common as Barnes, who is John's right-hand man. This is probably my favourite role of Common, guys. He was really good in the role. I like how he was a very loyal soldier towards John and always stood by him and was very supportive. Because, yeah, I like how he stood by John even when some things were against him, which we'll get to in the bad quality of the movie. I also as well like the addition of Helena Bonham Carter as Dr. Serena Corgan, who later becomes a face used by Skynet, a computer, to talk to Marcus later on in the movie when he comes to find out who he is, and yeah, and then he repairs himself. And I think she did a really great job playing Dr. Corgan. She was really great in the role, and Helena Bonham Carter is a great actress, guys, but my favourite role is always Bellatrix in Harry Potter, to be honest. But yeah, she was really amazing in this role as Dr. Corgan, in my opinion. And I also as well love how we got a cameo appearance by the T-800 himself, guys, and yeah, because I love how this movie gives us the origin story of the T-800. Like, I really love how it did that, how it gave us the origin story of this character. I was happy about that. And yeah, definitely deserved it. And they did a pretty decent job showing how it came to be, really, as well, in my opinion. And now, guys, unfortunately, Arnold Schwarzenegger did not return to play the Terminator in this movie because, obviously, during production, he was a governor of California, so he had no time to be an actor in this movie, sadly, and he denied his involvement. However, though, guys, they instead were able to use CGI to digitally insert his face over a bodybuilder called Roland Kickinger. And yeah, because he played the T-800's body physically. And yeah, and he was definitely a good choice for the role because he previously actually played Arnie in a biographical movie called See Arnold Run. So yeah, I think he was definitely a good candidate for a role. And yeah, he was very good. And apparently, guys, if Schwarzenegger hadn't decided not to allow his face to be used in a movie, apparently John would have shot the face off before it could reveal itself. So yeah, but I did, however, love the entrance, guys, and we get the iconic theme playing. You know, that was so cool how the theme played as it entered. Yeah, like, in my opinion, no Terminator movie is complete without the iconic theme or Arnie. You know, like, Arnie and the theme make it a Terminator movie, in my opinion, guys. And speaking of music, guys, I did love Danny Elfman's music. Very great score, in my opinion, pretty underrated. And I like how he too stayed faithful by including the iconic theme in the soundtrack. And yeah, that was really good. And I also as well like the addition of Moon Bloodgood as Blair Williams, who is a member of the Resistance. And I like how, you know, she showed sympathy towards Marcus because of what he'd been through, you know. And yeah, I did like how she supported Marcus. Because in my opinion, he was innocent, guys. You know, he didn't do anything wrong. He didn't even know he was a cyborg. So yeah, I feel really sorry for Marcus. And yeah. And also as well, another good quality I will say, guys, is I do also love how this movie includes voice cameos by Sarah Connor. And in case you're wondering, guys, that's actually brand new dialogue recorded by Linda Hamilton, which is pretty awesome. She was uncredited for a role, but she's the only cast member from the previous, movies to actually reprise her role in this movie. So yeah, it was really cool to how she came back to do those voices, and yeah, really good. As like a great connection to the previous movies, which was really good. And yeah, also other good quality I will say, guys, is I think the visuals and the CGI is really good for 2009 standards, in my opinion. There may be some that don't hold up very well, like, for example, I think Arnie's eyes in the CGI Arnie scene probably may not hold up very well to 2022 standards because they're a little bit shiny, but the CGI, for what it's worth, is still really good, guys. Like, because when I rewatch the scene where Arnie makes his entrance in the movie, it still looks really good, in my opinion. And because of the lighting as well, they make it less obvious that it's CGI, in my opinion, because of the lighting. I do like how they did that. And I gotta say as well that the models for the T-800s are also really good. I think this was the first Terminator movie to not have the models by Stan Winston, may rest in peace, because he died after Terminator 3 came out. So yeah, they used different modelling people to make the Terminators in this movie, but they still did a very good job, in my opinion, making the models. It was very good. And I also really like how they even made much bigger machines. And in my opinion, the CGI for them has aged really well. It was very good CGI for the machines. You know, pretty spot on in my opinion for its time in 2009. Like, I think it's aged really well. Just like how many parts of the CGI for Terminator 3 have aged really well as well. And also, guys, other good qualities I will say, aside from, you know, the cast visuals and the music, is I will say that I do like how, unlike Terminator Genesis and Terminator Dark Fate, this movie does at least try to be different and do something new. Because I like how it takes place in the future after Judgment Day, and not, you know, be like before Judgment Day and be like to survive it, or to you know, prevent the hero from dying, you know. So yeah. And, like, this is apparently a reason why fans consider it to be a decent movie. I mean, I've always, you know, not really, you know, hated it. I mean, I used to not really like when I was younger, but I still thought it was decent. But now, guys, I actually do like it. I think it's, you know, a nice little bit of a guilty pleasure to rewatch, you know. Like, it's really fun to rewatch. And, yeah. And plus, as well, I think the ending is also pretty good as well, guys. How it includes a sacrifice, because, you know, I like how the movies include sacrifices. It makes some good movies, in my opinion. And I like how this time it was where Marcus gives John his heart, because he got a human heart, so John, so he can live after being mortally wounded by the T-800 in the final battle in the factory. And yeah, very nice scene, and definitely much better than the original ending, which we'll get to in the bad qualities, which was pretty disturbing, in my opinion. And I do like how they gave callbacks to previous movies by having John say the famous line, "I'll be back." But yeah, this time he says it to Kate, so yeah. Kate, however, guys, will get some bad qualities, but yeah. But still, I think it's an underrated movie, guys. You know, I don't understand why it got so much negativity, like, it didn't deserve it. And also, guys, for what it's worth, even though I think Rise of the Machines and Salvation are unnecessary sequels to Judgment Day, because Judgment Day perfectly calls a franchise, I wouldn't mind if they continue making movies set in this, you know, story. Because if they were to continue, I'd probably like to pretend that Salvation is actually a prequel to a first movie, where it shows how they got the time machine from Skynet to send Carl back in time. But unfortunately, we didn't get it. We instead got a really bad remake in 2015 called Terminator Genesis, which I hated. And we'll get to in the trash talk of that. So yeah. Now, so there's some reasons why I don't think this is a perfect movie, guys, and unnecessary. So let's go on to bad quality of the movie. So what I don't like, guys, is I think the plot at times doesn't really make much sense and can be quite convoluted. So yeah, like, I think it's really confusing how the reason why Skynet would send Marcus, who isn't under Skynet's control and doesn't even know what mission he wants him to carry out, to lure John into a tablet, it doesn't make sense, because Marcus doesn't know what he's supposed to be doing. And also, what's weird is, this movie is about, you know, John rising to be the leader, but that was the arc of Rise of Machines, because, oh yeah, we get a pretty annoying character, guys, which is General Hugh Ashdown, played by Michael Ironside, and yeah, Hugh Ashdown is such an annoying, unlikable character, in my opinion, guys. Like, I think he's really mean, but yeah. But on the topic of him, we'll get to probably my favourite scene in the movie, which is where John is pleading with him to, you know, be able to rescue Kyle from Skynet. But Ashdown refuses, saying that his death is his fate. But he won't listen to John, saying that, you know, John is saying that, you know, Skynet's trying to trick them, and that they have Kyle, and that Kyle is their fate, because if he doesn't go back in time, John will die. And then he yells, well, probably the best line in the movie, guys, where he says, "If we stay the course, we are dead. We are all dead." Like, wow. Christian Bale did such a great job delivering that line, guys, and yeah. But unfortunately, it was also in Ashdown relieving him of his command. But I do like how the Resistance members still joined John to help him. And unfortunately, John was proven to be right for, you know, for Ashdown, because it's revealed that the signal was actually a ruse by Skynet, you know, that they found. And it led Skynet right to, and it killed them, so yeah. And that caused John to be the leader. But I don't get that, because, you know, like, at the end of Rise of Machines, guys, John does become the leader. He says to the soldiers who are contacting Crystal Pete that he's in command. Yet, in this movie, we get a random general out of nowhere. Like, that is just so confusing, and the fact that, you know, we know John's going to be a leader makes Ashdown's death really easily predictable. We know he's going to die because John will be the leader, you know? So, yeah. Like, I don't understand why they didn't include that story arc. Plus, there's also several plot holes that you know, mess up the canon of a story. So, like, for example, Skynet uses the young Kyle Reese as bait to lure John into a trap. But what I don't get is, why didn't they just kill Kyle on the spot upon identifying him? Because that means he wouldn't be able to go back in time to kill Sarah before John is born, Goodness me. Honestly, that is just so ridiculous. Like, why don't we just kill Kyle? Because that means that no one can go back in time to save John from, being killed in the past, Goodness me. And yeah, and plus when it comes to the T-800, guys, while it was nice to see it return, I just wish it had more screen time. And yeah, like, they probably should have made this movie when Arnie, returned to acting, because I think he returned, to make The Expendables 2 and several other movies and stuff like that. But yeah, I wish we made this movie after he returned to acting, because it felt really different without Arnie, guys. And yeah, definitely, a big absence in my opinion. And I think some characters are also underutilised, because I said earlier that I didn't like how Carl didn't have much screen time despite great performance by Anton Yelchin, may rest in peace. Like, for example, I wasn't really much of a fan of Kate in this movie, played by, this time by Bryce Dallas Howard, not Claire Danes, guys. Because, once again, didn't have very much screen time, like I just said with Kyle, which disappointed me because I really liked him in Terminator 3. And in my opinion, Bryce had a much weaker performance than Claire Danes. Like, I think I like her more as Gwen in Spider-Man 3, and also as her role in Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom as Claire. So, yeah. But not in Jurassic World 1, because I didn't like her in that, but yeah. I just thought she was much weaker than Claire Danes, in my opinion, guys. So, yeah. And also, one thing that I also don't like about this movie, guys, is also probably the promotional material for the movie, because I learned that apparently, guys, the trailers spoiled the twist that Marcus was a cyborg. So, like, why do the trailers have to go and do that? Like, why did they have to spoil what would have been an excellent plot twist if we didn't know about it? Goodness me. Can't believe they did that. How they spoiled it like that. And plus, when it comes to the ending of the movie where John is saved by Marcus, while it was great to see a sacrifice happen, like in the franchise, how it should happen, and Marcus does a noble thing by saving him, by being the donor of the heart, it realistically wouldn't have worked, in my opinion, because the wound would have killed John instantly, based on the stabbing where he got stabbed by the Terminator. And the heart transplant wouldn't have been able to be done because they didn't have the appropriate medical facilities to do the operation based on what they had with them in the camp they were at. And also as well, but thankfully, guys, this was much better than the original ending, because apparently, guys, John did die from the injury. And what's disturbing is, guys, the Resistance cut his face off and they placed it on Marcus's body, so the remains of humanity wouldn't lose hope. Thankfully, however, guys, this got really bad feedback from the fans who saw, like, in test audiences, so they had to reshot it. So thank God for that, they had to reshoot it. Because, my opinion, it's disturbing, yeah. I'd probably give the movie a much lower score if they had the guts to kill off John and do that to him. Like, oh my God. And also, guys, I don't like the rating, how I made it PG-13, because, like, they toned down the violence, which was disappointing. And yeah, even more than Rise of Machines, guys, which I personally do not like. Like, it hardly feels that much like a Terminator movie without the violence, really, to be honest. So, yeah. Very disappointing. And speaking of the cast, guys, I said some people underutilised. One I can probably name for you is probably Terry Crews, because he was supposed to have a big role in the movie as a soldier, guys. And unfortunately, he's very unfortunately wasted and becomes merely just a background corpse. And that's it. So, like, what absolute waste of Terry Crews. He's such a great actor and you had to waste him like that. Come on. Poor Terry Crews. So, yeah. Well, disappointing, guys. And, however, guys, nonetheless, though, despite those numerous bad qualities I have with the movie and why I don't think it's as good as the first two films of Rise of Machines, I still think it's an underrated movie and I prefer it way more over the next two about to cover in this ranking. The two that came after this one, certainly. And yeah, so if it's asked me how I'd rank it out of 10, guys, well, I would rank Terminator Salvation from 2009, directed by McG, a 7 out of 10, yeah. Used to be a low score than that, but now I've grown to like it more and more, and I now give it 7 out of 10, because I actually do really enjoy the movie. I think it's a guilty pleasure. So, not an awful movie, but, still not the best movie, because of those issues I had with it, so, yeah. but still underrated. So guys, this is me reviewing Terminator Salvation from 2009. So, you know, drill guys, be sure to give this video a like. Also, be sure to comment what you guys think of Terminator Salvation, using what your thoughts are on it. Also, be sure to join the team for my present subscribe for movies in the future. If you'd like to be a member, you can press join, please, I'll talk you in the description. And hasta la vista, baby.